Welcome to Keynotes to Collectibles with Curtis Zimmerman. In this series, I'll be sharing Ray's sports collection and my temporary shift from being a keynote speaker to the world of sports cards and collectibles. Well, hello and welcome to the last installment. Yes, believe it or not, the last installment to Ray's sports collection and Ray's sports collectibles. So it was Keynotes to Collectibles with Curtis Zimmerman, and that just ended. That's right. I sold everything. It's amazing. And I'm excited to tell you the story about how I went from Keynotes to Collectibles and now back to Keynotes. So it was about 6 months ago that Oliver and I met this guy named Ray. And Ray had one of the most amazing sports collections on the planet. I mean, it was crazy. He'd been in the business for years. At one time, he owned 11 shops. And Oliver and I wandered into his shop, and he was ready to move on. He was getting older, and with the pandemic, he didn't want to get COVID. And we needed something to do, something to get distracted by, and something to really bond and learn new things as we were trying to come out of the pandemic ourselves. So that's what we did. We bought Ray's sports collection. And it's funny because when I bought it, most people are like, oh my gosh, Curtis, it's a giant warehouse. It's a giant store. You're going to have this for this is a 2-year commitment. And you know, I always go back to goal setting. And I talk about people set certain limitations on themselves based on what other people's input is. And when the pandemic hit, a lot of my friends immediately went to doing Zoom calls and setting up their basement and setting up their kitchen with an amazing array of videos and all these things. And I knew that wasn't for me. So I didn't do that. Instead, I pivoted in a totally different way. And now that this is the end of that story, and I'm getting ready to write the next chapter, going back into the world and helping people and their teams really kind of come out of the pandemic with the right mindset. I'm so excited about it. But I had to share this last video because I wanted everyone to know that there were decisions that were made along the way that are so important about the success or the failure of our beliefs and what we think we can and cannot do. And I want to empower you to realize no matter what you did there during the pandemic, no matter what steps you took during the pandemic, now it's the next chapter. And now you can write anything you want. And that's where I am. And I'm so blessed and so excited to share that with you. So if you've been watching these videos, you know that the story with Ray's sports collection was an amazing story, but I have to be honest, the one that got Oliver and I and my whole family, see, it was a family commitment. This wasn't just me. All of us had to buy in because it was such a big lift. The story of us selling it and moving down the road, to be honest, is as amazing as the story of us getting it in the first place. So there, Oliver and I, we're sitting at Trader's World on a Saturday afternoon, and this gentleman walked in, and he said, you know, I was coming here because I don't know why I woke up this morning and I wanted to buy some Tupperware, and I told my wife, I'm going to Trader's World and buying Tupperware. And she was like, you're going to Trader's World? And he was, I'm going. I don't know why, I just feel like I need to. And my shop was located right across the way from the Tupperware lady at Trader's World. And sure enough, he got his Tupperware, and then he saw the shop. He said, wow, this looks totally different. You say, we had completely changed the shop and moved everything around and added a huge card section to the shop. And even though the gentleman had been there before, he was like, wow, this seems totally different. He walks in, he sees me, we start engaging and talking, we hit it off. I can't even explain the kind of connection that we had. And he said, I'll tell you what, I have a sports collection, and I'd like for you to come after work today and look at it, because I have a feeling I need to get it in your hands. I need to put it in someone's hands, and I think you're the guy. And Oliver and I were like, you know, we've heard this before. You go there and it's a bunch of junk wax and a bunch of stuff that's really not valuable, but sure, yeah, nope, after work, we'll come over and we'll check it out. And we went there, we went to his house. He was a great guy. And we communicated, and we had so many things to talk about just on a personal level. We're really connected. And he said, so this is my collection. I've been doing it for 40 years. I've been putting little sets together. I've been doing all of these things. And I think that you and Oliver should have it in your shop. Here's the number. Here's the number that I need. And I was like, sir, what you have is so much more valuable than that. Now, I can't get to the value that what it's really worth. He said, it doesn't matter. Here's my number. You pay that number, and then you guys do the best you can with it. I wish you the best. It was amazing. So we said, okay, we're going to figure it out. We figured it out. We got his little collection, and we put it in the shop. Well, that brings us to the next person that walked in, the very next weekend. He walks in, and again, not going to Trader's World. He wasn't planning on it. His parents wanted to go to Trader's World, and they talked him into it. Come on, come with us. Come on. All right, I'll go. And he went. And he's a huge collector. I mean, the guy's got a Michael Jordan shoe collection that's great. It's a whole wall full of shoes. The guy is just loves collecting things, loves people, and an amazing guy. He walks into the shop, and he looks around, and we have a few things from the gentleman from the week before. And he says, wow, these are pretty amazing. What's the price on those? And I told him, and he said, okay, I'll take that. And everyone else in the shop, it was a lot of people that are like in there a lot. They were like, that's interesting. He just like bought it, didn't even think about it. And then I was showing a little box of cards that I had received from the week prior. And I was looking at them. We were all talking about, oh, these are amazing. Look at the condition. And he walks over and says, so what are you guys looking at? And we said, well, these are some cards I got last week, and they're really amazing. He was like, well, those are great. How much do you want for the whole box? I was like, what? He said, yeah, how much for the whole box? So I threw a number out, and he said, great, that sounds perfect, sold. And I was like, okay, well, I do have some other things. Okay, how much is that? Sold. And that kept going over and over and over all the way till, well, I do have an entire warehouse full of things, and I do have all of Trader's World. And he goes, okay, well, what day can you meet me? So I went and met him, and he walked through it, and he heard my story, and he and I, again, totally connected. And he has the infrastructure that few people in all of Cincinnati would have. I mean, the guy owns a toy manufacturing plant. He has 4 or 5 giant warehouses. He does all kinds of things for schools, where he's a distributor for schools. So he has this giant infrastructure where he could take something like this giant warehouse that I have his team come in, clear it out, and then move it into lots of different things. He has retail. He's an amazing guy. I mean, the things he does, it's crazy. And he walked in because his parents wanted him to come. He was excited about the collectibles. He was excited about what we were doing. He saw how he could make a profit based on what all of the inventory that I had. And that allowed me to say, sold, sold, sold. We're done. And we sold it all to him. And I wanted to share that story with you, not because I made a huge profit. I didn't make a huge profit. We did fine, but it was really about 6 months ago when I was sitting in the basement just like everyone else. And I said, I could do Zoom calls, but it's exhausting. And I did a few, and I enjoyed them, and it got great feedback, but that's not what I want to do. That's not me. So every single time everyone runs to something happens, and everyone says, oh, this is the way, this is the direction. Please don't be afraid to go your own way. Don't be afraid to stop and go, yeah, that sounds great for you, but that's not my passion. That's not what I'm into. Passion supersedes natural ability. I'm a people person. I got to be around people. I don't want to be on a Zoom call for 9 hours a day. I will go crazy. So I had to do it my own way. And we had an amazing trip. I'm closer with my family. I've spent more time with my son than I probably have in the last 5 years. And both of my sons and my wife getting time together doing things. So sometimes it's not about the dollars and cents and what makes sense. Sometimes it's about you deciding what's best for you, going with your passion, going for what feels right. And even if you don't know all the different things that are happening and the steps and what it's building to, if Oliver and I hadn't gone and said to the gentleman, oh, you have a collection? Well, we have so much stuff, we don't need anything more. If we had done that, we would have never been in the position for him to purchase the warehouse and everything else if we hadn't first bought that little collection. When the gentleman walked in and said, listen, I have this collections of things and I'd like for you to come look at it, Oliver and I could have easily said, no, we have a whole warehouse full of things. We have so much, we don't need any more. We didn't do that. And we didn't know that was going to lead to everything else in order for us to exit and get ready to write the next chapter. So lean into what you listen to, lean into your passion, lean into just the feeling in your gut. Now, the gentleman that bought it, amazing guy, amazing. His name is Tim, and he has the infrastructure to take what I have that for me and everyone I knew was thought, oh, this is a giant lift. You're going to be here for 2 years. I can't tell you how many people said, well, just so you know, Curtis, when you buy, this is a 2-year commitment. I mean, you have so much. I said, no, it's not a 2-year commitment. I'm going to get it. We're going to go through what we're going to go through, and then we're going to sell it and we're going to move on. And that's exactly what happened. I'm a huge goal setter. My family's been a huge goal setter for years. Stop listening to limiting beliefs. Stop listening to what other people think is accomplishable. Don't do that. You decide. You write the script. And then the outcomes might be amazing. And that's where I'm standing here today. Look, I'm back in the office. Back to the Zimmerman team. Yay! I'm excited. Why am I excited? Because all of my colleges this year are going to be live again. Because I've had so many schools reach out and say, Curtis, our staff, we need some staff development days. Could you come and work with our staff and help us get in the right mindset? Because we know a lot of people were damaged. A lot of kids were damaged in the last year. We need our staff to come with the right attitude. We need them to be jacked up and remember why they got into teaching, why they want to be educators, why they want to be superintendents to begin with. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited to get back out and do what my real job is. And I encourage you to do the same. And don't judge the last year. Please don't do that. Take time, give yourself grace. One of the big takeaways for us in our family was every day we had to just celebrate each other for where we were. And some days I was in a great mood, and some days I was not in a great mood, and you didn't want to be around me, believe me. And that's true for every single person in my family. So what we did, we said, you know what, I have to give grace. And I don't want the pandemic to end and you to get busy. Don't say yes to everything. Just say yes to this, say yes to, all of a sudden you keep saying yes, 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 and your life's going to be as crazy and you're going to be running around just like before. Please, in the next 6 months, feel fine to say no. Say no to people. Oh, can you volunteer for this? Oh, can you go back and join that? Oh, can your son or daughter start engage? No, you know what? What we're doing is we're taking our time and we're deciding what things we're going to add back in and what things we're going to leave out to make us a more healthy, more balanced, and more connected family, because we got connected in a new way. That's every company. That's every organization. That's every nonprofit. That's every school. How are you going to reconnect and write the next chapter in a new and exciting way? That's the challenge. And that's the one I'm so excited to help people experience. And that's why I'm so jacked up. That's Ray's Sports Collection happened, and it was amazing. And I learned so much. And now I'm going to go back to seeing you. I'm going to go back and hang out and have some time to try to help some people help themselves. So this is the last video on Keynotes to Collectibles, Ray's Sports Collection. This is it. That chapter is gone now. I'm out of the sports card business and back into the people business. And I wanted to thank Ray. Ray's the one that helped the journey from the beginning. Ray's the one that believed in taking his baby and handing it off to somebody that was going to care about it. And I did. And Oliver and I shared so many of these amazing things that he had collected over the years and shared it with thousands of people over the last 5 weeks, 5 months. And what we were able to do is we're able to take Ray's baby and share so many of the amazing things he'd collected over the years with thousands of people over the last 5 months. And it was a blessing to me and my family. So Raymond, thank you so much. Thank you for encouraging me, mentoring me, and helping me on this journey. I look forward to our next video where we talk more about me being a speaker and some things you might be able to do to help your organization or yourself or your family as we move through to the next chapter of our lives, where we can once again live the dream. Well, something I always talk about at every conference, every speech I've ever given is the speech and the impact. That's great. The video you just watched, the podcast you just listened to, perhaps, that's great. But what are you going to do now? What are you going to take away from that conference? What are you going to take away from the time you spent to watch this video and do differently tomorrow? And I call that the 24-hour challenge. After you hear great content, that made me think something new. What are you going to do in the next 24 hours to go and actualize some of that and bring it into your life? Well, I want to tell you that's what I've been doing, and that's why we've had this amazing journey. So I want to challenge you. I want you to set a goal that some of your friends might think is a little crazy and not doable, or, that's such a big commitment. Now, I just got done telling you to say no to other people, but this is different. I want you to say yes to you. See the difference? See how different that feels? What are you going to say yes to? What's a goal you're going to set and say, I'm committing to the next week, the next month, the next whatever it is, and I'm going to do that and think about it and write it down and put it on a Post-it note and put it on my mirror so I see it every day. Pick one thing right now. That's the 24-hour challenge. Go do it. Keep living the dream. To learn more about Ray's Sports Collection, go to facebook.com/Ray's Sports Collection. And if you're looking for a speaker to inspire and engage your people, visit my website, curtiszimmerman.com. Thanks for tuning in to Keynotes to Collectibles.